So the young man, he decides to return home. You know, he has this conversation with himself before he heads back home. And he comes to the conclusion that upon seeing his father, he's going to tell him a couple things. He's going to say, "Father, I sinned against heaven, and I sinned against you. And I am not worthy to be your son. So make me one of your slaves." And when he was approaching his father's house, something interesting happens here. The inference is that every day his father was standing out in the front porch of that house just waiting, just saying, "I wonder if this is the day that my son is going to come home to me." And every single day he was sitting there just waiting. And this morning when that man woke up, someone came walking down that long driveway. And this old man runs, literally gets up and runs with arms wide open, weeping, for his son has finally come home. And he hugs him and kisses him and throws him all around. And it's just a joyous occasion. And now the son has something to say, if you'll remember. And the son starts in. And he says, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be your son." But before he could say that last thing, before he could say, "Make me a slave," his father does something. He stops him. He says, "Enough." He calls for the finest robe, the largest ring, and the nicest pair of sandals in all the property. The ring is a symbol of royalty and wealth. The robe is a symbol that his son has been totally reinstated to his previous status. And the sandals show that he will never be anyone's slave. Now Jesus shows us here what our Heavenly Father is like when it comes to us. When we screw up and when we realize it's time to come home, God is already there waiting for us with the lights on, just waiting for us. Welcome back with a loving embrace. You know, when we sincerely apologize, when we say, "Lord, forgive me, I'm not worthy for this forgiveness that you are offering to me," He gives us mercy and grace in full. And just like the parables, we are fully reinstated in God's kingdom. We are made clean once again. We don't come back with baggage. We don't come back as some second-class citizen. No. In the eyes of God, we are no different than the day He first loved us. And the story doesn't end there. The father orders a fatted calf to be killed, and he wants a party because his son's come home. You know, and when the other son hears about this joyous occasion, his remarks aren't so joyous. It's, "What's all this about?" And he becomes angry when he hears about this party. You know, he speaks with his father and he basically says, "What gives? You know, I've been here the whole time. I've followed all of your rules. I've kept every single one of your commandments. But you don't go out and throw some party for me. What gives?" And his father replies with, "Son, you have always been there, and everything I have is yours. We should both be glad, because your brother is dead, and now he lives. He was lost, but now is found." You know, these three parables, they're the same story. The first about the sheep, this was the lost son. He wandered off, he did his own thing, and then one day he realized he was lost, and he went looking for the shepherd. And when the shepherd found him, there was great rejoicing. You know, this is the easiest kind of person to save spiritually. It's the one that realized they've screwed up, and that things are horrible, and that life isn't as green as what we thought it would be on the other side of that pasture. You know, they're just looking for a friend or a family member to reach out that hand and say, hey, you know what made a difference in my life? Let me tell you about a guy named Jesus. And His love and His mercy, and no matter how bad I screwed up before, He welcomed me home, and everything's been different since. It's not been a cakewalk. It hasn't been easy. But everything has been forgiven. You know, the story of the coin, that was the other brother. You see, he never left home. But at times, you don't have to leave home to be lost. He was lost in his own selfishness and his own sin. And he was lost so bad that he couldn't even be happy for his brother when he came home. You know, this is the most difficult type of person to save. For they don't know they need saving. They think everything's going on okay, and they can do no wrong. But in their minds, they have created something that is not godly. It may seem like it, but it's not. You know, as we depart this morning, I want you to think about those you love, or maybe those you worked with, or just a friend or acquaintance. Maybe it's a good time to think about us as we stand here and sit in these pews. Where are we right now? I know we're in church, but are we lost? Do we have friends and family that are lost? If the answer is yes to any of those questions, or maybe it's just in your mind, well, it's, yeah, I'm not where I thought I was. Then maybe we need to start paying a little bit more attention to ourselves, our friends, and our family, and show them the love of Christ, and seek out those who have the love of Christ in their hearts and learn something from them, and ask them to teach us more. And if it's us that lost, if it's you that's lost, just know that God is still there. And He's still got that light on for you. And He's waiting there with arms spread wide open. Just waiting for you to say, Lord, forgive me. Let me come home.
By those love you have shown in my life. A simple thing doesn't say